Hey guys, I'm finally back, and I don't really have an explanation or a good reason for not making videos in a really long time. It's just kind of that it was really easy to put off doing when there's other things that I wanted to do, so I just kind of ended up not making them. Anyhow, I've been playing OSU for a full year now, and I thought it'd be nice to make a video showcasing my progress in OSU. Also, I tried to shake up the regular 1 year of OSU video formula that I see pretty frequently, so I hope that makes for like a lot more of an interesting video. Also, pretty much all my older replays got crab raved when I switched computers, so the only ones that I have are the ones that were in the top 1,000 of maps, which is not that many considering that I was a 6-digit at the time. I first found out about OSU because some random dude on Instagram followed me out of nowhere, and just because I was being nice, I decided to follow back. I looked on his page, I noticed some of the videos that he had posted was of this game that looked pretty interesting to me, and it was called OSU. I thought the game looked really cool, and this would usually be the part in the story where I'd go and download OSU, except that's not what happened, at least not right away. I basically became the OSU equivalent of a lurker. I spent a little over 2 weeks just looking at live plays and OSU related content on YouTube before I decided to actually play the game. I still have no clue why I didn't just download the game earlier. I guess I was just being a little bit lazy. As a result of all the videos that I watched before actually playing the game, I already knew about stuff like PP, that you could tap on keyboard, the existence of tablets, and even who some top players were. Mostly Cookiezi, because, you know. On January 12th, 2018, I finally decided to download and play the game. For the first hour or so, I actually decided to play mouse only because I was too lazy to go check what the keybinds were, but it wasn't really working. At first, I thought there was something more to the game that I didn't know about, but it turns out I was just bad. So then I brought out a mechanical keyboard that I had received for Christmas a month earlier. At first, I thought I had to click the number on the hit circle on my keyboard at the same time as a mouse click, but then I realized I was just supposed to tap Z and X. For the next month or so, I figured out that SS ranks on easy maps with DT gave lots of PP, so I'd play really short maps, like 30 seconds, and just try to SS them. I also used a skin for the very first time around here. It was a skin called Minimum 1.3. I used it for about a few months. In this first month of playing, I noticed how bad the mouse I had was for playing OSU. Its wireless was laggy and would stop working all the time, and it was just really uncomfortable to hold in the hand, and I didn't even use a mouse pad, so that's just adding insult to injury. As mentioned before, I knew about tablets, but I only knew the really expensive kind, and I thought that they were all that way. I wanted to get a better aiming tool, so I went on Amazon and I tried to look for a good mouse that I could afford, and I actually found some in the $20 to $30 range that were pretty highly reviewed. But right before I bought one, I decided to see how cheap I could get a tablet for, and I was expecting something in the $50-ish range, but I decided to look anyway, just in case. Looking back on it, it was probably a bad decision to get this tablet just because of the low build quality and crappy pen, but to me at the time, getting a tablet for $20 was an absolute steal. Now, if only I would have scrolled just a little bit to see the tablet that I should have bought. I used this tablet for a few months before its port stopped working properly, but during this time, I was pretty much in a dark age because of how I played at the time. I would basically pretend I was Cookiezi by playing Relax, while tapping on keyboard though, on the same few hard maps that Circle people uploaded with God mode titles. I would get like 50% accuracy, and I would even take the tablet to school and do this in public. It was legit awful because not only was I sandbagging my improvement by desyncing my tapping and my cursor movement, I was also flexing on some people at my school with skill I didn't even have. Also, just as a side note, I used a really weird grip when I first started tablet. I would hold my entire arm off the table and drag while putting nearly the full weight of my arm on the pen while holding it at the top. I did this because I thought this was Cookiezi's grip, but I could not have been farther from the truth. Also, speaking of dragging, you'll notice that if you look at my plays from around this time period, I was dragging with my mouse buttons on, which completely crippled my streaming ability because OSU only allows you to use 2 of the 4 keys properly at once. So I eventually Googled my issue when I realized I could not press my second key, and I just ended up pressing F10. On the positive side, when I wasn't doing fake top player mode, I learned how to alternate and also passed a 5-star at about this time, which was kinda cool, I guess. But at least after my tablet broke, I finally came back to my senses and started playing the game for real. Also, I borrowed a wired mouse from my school and started using a mousepad when I switched back to mouse for the time being. This also spawned my very first ever r/osu game post. I'm really glad I listened to the guy's advice here instead of becoming an autopilot main. I also attempted making a live play around this time. I think it was a max control C rank. I just remember recording a hand cam footage with my webcam and then just leaving the file on my desktop for a while until I ended up having to delete it to make room for something, so unfortunately it is lost to history. I ended up getting a XP Pen G640 for my birthday, and I have used that tablet up to this day. Moral of the story, don't get a He on 420. After I got my G640 back, I got into like this phase of like being really against any sort of farming, but also being like really uninformed about like what it was farming and what was not. So basically my form of farming was like anything that was under 1 minute and 30 seconds long or double time. The entire mod I considered farm. So instead I just played slightly longer than 1 minute and 30-second songs with hard rock because I thought that there was no way that hard rock could be farmed because, I don't know, I was being dumb. But yeah, the scores that I set in this time were mainly just me playing hard rock on 3-star maps, which, I don't know, they're okay scores, but their accuracies are kind of low. I got out of school for the summer, and this is where a decent amount of cool stuff actually started happening. I started out the summer with a trip that lasted about a week, which was really fun, but I didn't get to play Osu the entire time, which got me thinking about the game and how I was playing it. I noticed that while streaming, my middle finger being a lot longer than my index finger made it difficult to tap consistently on faster BPMs. I thought at first that that's just something that I would have to live with, but then when looking at my hand, I noticed that my index and ring fingers were almost the exact same length, so I had a little light bulb go off in my head. What if I played Osu with my index and ring finger? And I just practice doing this by like air tapping on like benches or something, and just kind of practicing alternating between those and try to transfer the muscle memory over from my middle to my ring finger. And when I got home, the switch took a little while, but it was definitely worth it in the long run. I got my very first 100 PP play a little bit after the switch, which was pretty cool, but I wouldn't really say this was worth being a 100 PP play. Like, there's a bunch of free combo at the start, and there's only one really difficult part in the map, and the jumps are very easy to accuracy. I just wouldn't really say this is worth 100 PP. Take that number with a grain of salt. I also passed my very first 6-star around this time. It was Through the Fire and the Flames, which is it's a pretty cool first 6-star pass. As for the rest of the summer, I kind of just played like a bunch of 4-star maps. I never got out of 6-digit, which was my plan. I made a goal to get out of 6-digit by the end of the summer and get 5-digit, but I didn't quite meet that goal, unfortunately. I got to about like 120k-ish, but I did end up setting some cool scores, including like my very first ever 7-star pass, even though it was very cheesy. Although I did get some slightly less cheesy ones a little bit later, though. And personally, I would consider my Super Driver pass to be my actual first 7-star pass, and not D rank. Around this time, I got curious about other aspects of the game besides just playing. I tried out mapping and ended up making a map of a mashup between Hime Hime and All-Star, which turned out okay, but I have no plans of getting it up to rankable status anytime soon. I also tried out skinning, which I have made more progress in. For example, here is my first skin. A lot of this is from other skins, so mixed, but some of it, like the hit circle and some interface elements, were made by myself, and I even improved the hit circle even more in the second version of the skin, among a few other things, and I plan to make a third version of the skin sometime in 2019. But I didn't just limit myself to game customization when I wasn't playing standard. I also played and still do play Osu Taiko on the side. While I'm not good at it whatsoever, I did start getting better at starting a few weeks ago when I started putting more time into the game mode. I also started playing other rhythm games around this time. For now it's kind of just Step Mania, but I intend to play a wider variety of rhythm games in the future. Around here, I kind of started going on and off on whether or not I played well. I think one of the main reasons was limited sleep due to me going back to school around this time. However, I did end up making a play on Rolling Girls DT that was my new top play. It was worth 150 PP and also was the play that put me into 5-digit. I made a decent spike into 5-digit, but then I encountered what was pretty much my first encounter with rank decay. I was just not used to seeing my rank graph visibly go down until about this time, but it's just something that I'll eventually have to get used to because I just don't have as much time to play as I did back in summer. However, I have worked on a variety of skills including streaming, speed, and high AR. I somewhat learned to stream 220 ppm and read AR 10.3 during this time, and my new keyboard and 144Hz monitor that I got recently are helping a lot with that. And that brings us to today. That's pretty much everything related to OSU that I did this year, leaving out some minor things like my first 1, 2, and 3-star FCs just because they're not that important and any record of them was lost to time. Looking back on the year, it's very obvious that OSU had a very large impact on myself and also even my friends. To start with myself, I completely changed the kind of music that I listen to because of OSU. Nowadays, I'll listen to stuff like Japanese heavy metal, anime openings, and even speedcore, all things that I don't think I would have ever listened to had it not been for OSU. I learned so much more than I ever thought I would about mechanical keyboards, tablets, and mice, and I've even learned somewhat of a life lesson while playing the game. Good things will take time, but the more effort you put into something, the more you'll get out of it. This is extremely true in the case of OSU, with the most given advice to players wanting to improve being play more. As for my friends, first of all, I've made countless new ones through the community, especially through the new OSU Game Sings project, which I even ended up hosting one of my own, r/OSU Game Sings Honesty. As for the friends I have already had in real life, a decent portion of them saw me playing the game so frequently on Discord, and some of them even ended up trying the game out for themselves, coming full circle, considering I started playing the game in a similar way. Ending this video off, I just want to say thank you for listening to me ramble about a circle game for 10 minutes. But from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate every single one of you watching this video.
See you next time.